What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Two-man Carzamaro here. Welcome back to another episode of Josiah's Grape Reviews. I know it's been like a month or so. I apologize. But I'm here to review mainly the Coca-Cola 600. Quite frankly, because that was the only race I watched. I was in a school play throughout all weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday during the Indy 500, to which I missed the closest Indy 500 finish of all time, the closest finish in Indy 500 history. Congratulations to Felix Rosenqvist for winning that by 23 one-thousandths of a second over David Malukas. Heartbreaking for David Malukas and everybody else, obviously, that lost. But shout out to Felix Rosenqvist. Truck race, O'Reilly race, didn't watch that. That happened during the play. Actually, the truck race happened like Sunday morning, and I woke up pretty late. So I didn't even catch like the tail end of the race. I tried to, my TV wasn't working, FS1 wasn't working, all that stuff, so I couldn't get it up. But Lane Riggs ended up winning that. So shout out to him. And then the O'Reilly race, Ross Chastain ended up winning that. So shout out to him. So I'll mainly talk about the Coca-Cola 600 here. But the Coke 600, it was a pretty wasn't a bad. It wasn't a great race by any means. It wasn't horrible race by any means. The qualifying had to be set by metric. Tyler Reddick started on the pole because of this is all basically set by the metric way back at Watkins Glen because last week was the All-Star race. So Reddick got the pole, but due to metric, stage one mainly the Toyotas were basically the dominant force in the Coke 600. But Kyle Larson was up there. He's always up there in the Coke 600. He won stage one. Stage two ended up being won by Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, I think, had the best car. To be honest, I think, in my opinion, he had the best car, and I thought he was going to win. But then I'll talk about why he didn't win in a minute. Stage three ended up being Christopher Bell. Bell actually had I think he used some strategy, and I think he pitted later and he got up there really quickly. And then all of a sudden he had a really good car, and then he ended up winning stage three. And it was basically going to be between Hamlin and Bell and Reddick and those guys battling for the win. But then a new player came in to town because rain was looming. Rain was getting close, and it wasn't sure whether or not it was going to hit the track or not. Spoiler alert, it did. But there was a lightning delay. But then actually there was a meteorologist there, and they actually waved off the lightning delay, which was exciting. We get more racing in, and it still ensures that people are safe. So in my book, it's a green flag in my book. So there was that. But in one of these cautions where there's a couple cautions of rain and stuff, but I think it was after the lightning caution, they came into pit. Daniel Suarez's team, they were the team to ultimately play the book of strategy, and Suarez took two tires and he was able to assume the lead. And there were a couple of rain delay restarts that he had to hold off the Toyotas, and he managed to do that. And Daniel Suarez, another caution came out for rain, and it pretty much lost the track. And then NASCAR was quick to stop the race and then eventually call the race. So Daniel Suarez ends up being the 2026 Coke 600 champion. Daniel Suarez gets his third career win, his first win since the 2024 Atlanta Spring Race, and that three-wide epic finish he had with Blaney and Busch and all that. So there was that third career win. Special win for Daniel Suarez. Obviously, not just the fact that it's Coca-Cola 600, but I actually probably should have talked about this at the beginning when I started the video, but I obviously did not. Obviously, I haven't been around. I haven't uploaded in a month, so I missed a lot. But the big thing that happened this weekend, over everything, over all the racing that went down, obviously happened on Thursday when tragically news broke that Kyle Busch, two-time Cup Series champion, the winningest NASCAR driver among the top three series in NASCAR history, unfortunately passed away at age 41. Just a sudden, shocking loss for not just the NASCAR industry, but for everybody. Every media news outlet was covering it. Just shows you how big an impact Kyle Busch had on not just NASCAR, but just around the world. Kyle Busch would always make headlines in sports and all that. A lot of good and bad. Kyle Busch, to many people, was the villain. He was the main villain in NASCAR. Basically, when Dale Earnhardt passed, NASCAR basically needed a new villain. Villains are what push the story forward, and villains aren't supposed to be good, but they help push the story forward, in my opinion. When Dale Earnhardt left and Kyle Busch came up, Kyle Busch became the main villain. He hated losing more than the next guy. And when things did not go his way, he was gonna make you pay for it. He was gonna get up in your face and he was gonna, show you what was up. There was a lot of things that went down. Kyle Busch got into a fight with quite a lot of people, but what also made him a villain was the fact that he won. He won a lot. He won a lot. Started out with Hendrick, had a couple wins. Then he went to Joker's Racing in 2008. He broke out, got 8 wins. Then took a while for him to win a championship, but he did in 2015 after he, broke his leg and his foot and crashed at Daytona early in the season. Missed 11 races, came back and had an amazing summer. Tony Stewart 2005-like summer, and then obviously won the championship. I still say to this day that he deserved the championship. He did everything he was supposed to do. Needed to be top 30 in points. He got it. Needed to survive the playoffs. Didn't win in the playoffs until the championship race. Had to do it all out in points, and he did just that. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't do anything wrong. I still say he deserved the championship, but you can argue with me that in the comments and whatnot and say that he didn't deserve it. Obviously, people are going to have their own opinions and whatnot. Kyle Busch ended up winning his second championship in 2019, and then obviously dominated the O'Reilly Series. Almost every race he was in, he would win that, and the Truck Series as of late. Ended up winning, over 100 O'Reilly races, and ended up winning 69 truck races. Helped propel KBM to over 100 wins in the Truck Series before eventually they had to, leave the Truck Series and all that. But just last Friday, over a week ago, Kyle Busch won the truck race at Dover for his second truck win in 2026. And in his post-race interview, Amanda Busick, I believe, was the reporter, and she asked Kyle why these moments matter so much, and Kyle responded by saying, because you never know when the last one is. Truly haunting phrase, haunting sentence that eventually just even more haunting now that he's gone, because that obviously was the final win that Kyle Busch had. He would pass away just 6 days after he won at Dover in the truck race. Just tragic. Nobody knew what happened for a couple days, but eventually family came on and said that he passed away. It was basically pneumonia. Something happened. He did have, I guess, a sinus cold. I don't know if this was related with pneumonia. It could have been, could have not. I'm not here to draw conspiracy theories, because that's not what I want to do. I just want to, just start to get reviews and review, and then obviously talk about what happened here with Kyle Busch. But during the race at Watkins Glen, he had to ask for a doctor after the race to be there, and he needed a shot. So there was that. But then obviously people brought up the Dover race and Poser's interview and what happened there. But yeah, just all in all, tragic loss for not just in the NASCAR community, basically everywhere. Kyle Busch and many people, you either hated Kyle Busch or you loved him. He was either your least favorite driver or your favorite driver. There was no in between. Obviously, for me, Kyle Busch was never really one of my favorite drivers. I didn't like Kyle Busch. He was down there with Denny Hamlin for most of my time. I came into NASCAR, and I started watching NASCAR in like 2016, I think full-time in 2017. And I look back, and I think half of Kyle Busch's wins almost I saw like when I was watching NASCAR. And it's just, I've grown attached to Kyle Busch for 10, 11 years that I've watched NASCAR. And now all of a sudden, just he's gone. It's unbelievable. And I didn't know Kyle Busch personally. He didn't know who I was, unfortunately. Unfortunately, never get that chance to meet him, unfortunately. But still made a tremendous impact on me, even though I didn't like him in the moment. I grew to like him over time, not because he was struggling, but I actually generally felt bad for Kyle Busch, and he had a lot of bad luck, especially on the Cup side recently. Winless in 24, winless in 25, obviously never got a Cup win this season, unfortunately. But came close a couple times, had some bad luck here and there that really wasn't his fault for the most part. And now it's just gone. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. Rest in peace to Kyle Busch. Obviously, I know it's like still a couple days, but it's still resonated well, etched in our brains. It's going to be etched in our brains forever. So still continuing to send thoughts and prayers to the Busch family during this tough time. They were there actually at the Coke 600. Samantha Braxton, they were there. Kurt Busch was there. Richard Childress. Everybody was by the Busch family's side, joining in a moment of silence. I didn't see it live, but touching tribute, amazing. You had bagpipes playing for like 2 minutes as they were honoring Kyle Busch. It was a beautiful, amazing tribute to Kyle Busch. In my opinion, I mean, if you want to talk about the greatest NASCAR Cup Series driver, in my opinion, it's Richard Petty. But if you want to talk about the greatest NASCAR driver overall, I think it's Kyle Busch, and it really should be even close. I mean, 234 wins across the top 3 series. I know, like, he came back, and, like, obviously, like, it was pretty easy for him to win the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series, but still, every win is hard to get, no matter how you get it or what you do or what you've done. Every win is hard, and the fact that he did it 234 times across the top 3 series is just unbelievable. You don't just go in your car and you do that, and you don't do that. We're probably never gonna see that ever again. Kyle Busch is a one of a kind. We're never gonna see another Kyle Busch, and unfortunately, again, sound like Brooke Ricker saying this. Unfortunately, Kyle Busch just no longer with us, and it's probably I wasn't alive to when Dale Earnhardt died. He died in 2001. I was born in 2007, so I was born 6 years after he died. I never got to. I mean, unfortunately, never had to witness the pain that was losing Dale Earnhardt. I know, obviously, still to this day, it probably still doesn't resonate with people. But Kyle Busch, that's that a lot of things. The Dale Earnhardt passing and the Kyle Busch passing, they kind of align. Dale Earnhardt, obviously, the Intimidator, 76 wins. Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Busch, they're a very similar driver. A lot of means they both really hated to lose, and both were polarizing figures for many. But obviously both tragically lost their lives, and just heartbreaking. But yeah, they're having to grieve over Kyle Busch, and I see the tributes pouring in. It's a mirror image to Dale Earnhardt. Basically, it's Dale Earnhardt all over again, and I'm basically experiencing live. And now that I've had to experience Dale Earnhardt 2.0, basically, it's just it sucks. It really does suck. Because Kyle Busch passed away shockingly, unexpectedly. He unfortunately, both the Busch brothers had to retire, not on their own terms. Kurt Busch had to retire 2022 after he had a concussion at Pocono, and then obviously Kyle Busch, obviously, he died, and unfortunately, again, yeah, not going to be racing, obviously. Just it sucks. It really does suck. Neither deserved it. I mean, you can say what you want about the Busch brothers. Neither of them deserve this. Nobody deserves that. That's just. You should be able to retire. If you want to retire, you should be able to do it on your own terms, not because of an injury, not because of an illness that eventually takes your life. It sucks. It sucks. It really does. And Kyle Busch never won the Daytona 500, though he did sit on the pole for the Daytona 500, what is now his final Daytona 500. So there's that at least, but still never won the 500. It sucks. Anyways, I know I've been yapping about Kyle Busch, and I've kind of not been making any sense at all. I've kind of been bouncing back and forth and stuff. I apologize, but there was that. That's probably why I need to do notes and all that stuff. Just again, I think that actually is fitting, because there really isn't no proper words to explain the loss of Kyle Busch. It's just shocking. It's stunning. It's all that. But going back to Daniel Suarez and winning, huge for Daniel Suarez. Obviously, whoever was gonna win the Cook 600, they were gonna pay respects to Kyle Busch in a way. And Suarez did. Lane Riggs, Ross Chastain, and Daniel Suarez at the end. They did a bow and salute of Rowdy Busch, which was obviously amazing tribute there. But I think it good for Suarez, because obviously when Kyle Busch won at Dover, he won in the 7 Spire truck, and now Daniel Suarez wins in the 7 Spire Cup car. So I find that to be pretty cool. But still, obviously, again, big win for Daniel Suarez and all that. Second, Christopher Bell ended up getting second. Great car, especially later on in the race. He got second. Denny Hamlin, I still think, had the best car. Overall, he got third. Tyler Reddick was up there all day. 4th place finish. Kyle Larson 5th. Ty Gibbs had the fastest lap. He comes home 6th. Ryan Blaney and Joey got on William Byron. Zane Smith had, I think, his best career race in the Cup Series, arguably. Top 10 for him. SVG was up inside the top 10 all race long. Unfortunately, 1 spot short of a top 10 at 11th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th. He was up there all race long. Unfortunately, he made contact with Ross Chastain, last year's Coke 600 winner, and spun him out. Unfortunately, Eric Jones was up in the top 10 briefly. McDowell 14th. Brad Keselowski 15th. Cole Custer, Alex Bowman. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? Cole Custer, Alex Bowman, AJ Allmendinger, Corey Hyman, Todd Gilliland, the top 20. Looking here at some of these other results. Hocevar, Bubba Wallace, they had quiet days. Austin Hill ended up coming home 27th, replacing, obviously, Kyle Busch. Obviously, Kyle Busch's number 8 is going to be retired for the foreseeable future until Braxton comes up to the Cup Series, which I find that to be just amazing. I mean, just, yeah, no words to describe that either. Just, wow, huge. Looking back here, Catherine Legg, 31st. She attempted the double, the Indy 500 and the Coke 600. Unfortunately, in the Indy 500, she crashed early. DNF'd early, unfortunately. Catherine Legg ended up coming home 31st. She lost a tire, so there was that. Most of these guys behind her were involved in wrecks. Austin Dillon, 32nd. Ryan Preece, 33rd. Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain. Yeah, they were involved in a wreck. I think Briscoe and Buescher, they made contact with somewhat, and Briscoe ended up wrecking. So Chastain was involved in the Stenhouse wreck, obviously. Timmy Hill had a fireball on pit road. There was that. Chase Elliott, 37th. He spun by himself, running in 16, pretty embarrassing. Embarrassing to watch as an LA fan. I know LA was probably embarrassed by that. Um, Rare that you see a mistake like that, Chase Elliott. I really don't know if we'll actually truly ever win a crown jewel race. It's actually getting quite. I'm honestly getting frustrated at this point. I've been frustrated before. He should definitely have a crown jewel win. Wins, plural, probably. But the fact that he's in year 11 and doesn't have a crown jewel race is just unbelievable. And now every guy that gets a crown jewel win, it's just, oh, blah, blah, blah won a crown jewel race before Chase Elliott. Like Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez won a crown jewel race before Chase Elliott. And I can't really defend that because, he should have a crown jewel race. The Daytona 500 this year, he came insanely close. Coke 600 2020, he came insanely close. There's some other races as well, just sucked. So 37 for Elliott. Austin Cindric 38. He was involved in a wreck. He had some contact with somebody. Got into William Byron. He got a little bit damaged. Got into Connor Zilic as well. So both Cindric and Zilic in 33rd, respectively. So there was that. Now, unfortunately, there was another layer to all this. All three of the NASCAR races, the Truck Series, the O'Reilly race, and the Cup race, all of them ended not under grief-like conditions. The Truck race had to end early because of, let's face it, the Indy 500. They had to get the Indy 500 in, and they had to end the Truck race early, which I find that to be insanely freaking stupid. I mean, just either let them race, or if you don't want them to just I don't know. That was handled poorly, in my opinion. Then the O'Reilly race, which was ran on Saturday night, they had to end it due to rain. It was a mess. Again, even watching the highlights, I kind of like skimmed through it because I don't want to watch a 20-minute highlight, really, to be honest, with a bunch of ads on YouTube and all that stuff, and the whole thing and all that. I might get in trouble for saying that, but I don't know. It was a mess. Then rain came, and then they ended it at the end of stage 2, and so Chastain won. I looked on my phone and I was like, oh, Chastain won by 1/1000th of a second over Jesse Love. That's crazy. Big photo finish. No, it was under rain, so that sucked. And then obviously the Cup race had to be ended early, also due to rain. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's fitting, but I mean that's kind of with what happened with Busch, and then now all three of the NASCAR races not being complete. It's just, I guess because I don't know. I wanted to say something there, but I kind of maybe I shouldn't. But I don't know. They kind of Busch is passing, and then the three races not being run. They kind of align in a way, but I'll keep what I had to say to myself. Anyways, I know I'm like stuttering and stumbling, and then as I always do, but then there's an awkward pause and all that. I'm just gonna end this here, but yeah, overall, very disappointing weekend. I made a video a couple years ago about the most underwhelming day in motorsports when the Indy 500, the Coke 600, then Larson's double, the rain came, and then all that stuff. I said that debacle, that was the most underwhelming day in motorsports. I argued this weekend by NASCAR specifically was underwhelming. The Indy 500 was fine. I'll have to go back and watch the highlights, but the closest finish in Indy 500 history, then the wrecks and all that stuff, the chaos. I think the Indy 500 lived up to the hype. It also got all laps in, unlike any of the NASCAR races. At least I think the ARCA race did at least. The ARCA West Series at Colorado. Trevor Huddleston won, so shout out to him. But I think they got all the races in. But other than that, that was it for NASCAR, getting all the laps in and whatnot in races. Yeah. Anyways, I know I'm not making sense. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. If I had to rate the Coke 600, I'd give it a 5 out of 10, I guess, right in the middle. Touching tribute to Busch and all that. All the tributes were sweet. But as far as the race itself, I mean, it wasn't bad by any standards, but, kind of felt incomplete. Obviously, all three races did. But anyways, I'll leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching Josiah's Grape Reviews. Hope you guys did enjoy it. As always, smash like, subscribe, hit that little tiny notification bell. That way you never miss any new videos, just like this one. As always, as is suggested by yours truly. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll try and get to posting. No guarantees. Done this for 6 years. There's no guarantees with me uploading consistently, all right? See you guys then. Bye.